This is the AB4WS radio show. Every week, bringing you the exciting amateur radio news and information happening in the greater Cincinnati, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana areas.
The AB4WS radio show can be found on the Apple Podcast app or your favorite podcast application. And now also available on the AB4WS radio show YouTube channel. The Cincinnati Hamfest was a great success, held on Saturday, August 9th at the Claremont County Fairgrounds in Owensville, Ohio. This was a great venue featuring an outdoor flea market as well as sellers inside the building. The ARRL was set up, and I spoke with Scott Yonley, the Great Lakes Division Director. They also administered amateur radio tests, and Corey Kissinger, the young son of Tom Kissinger, KG8Y, passed his technician class exam. Will this mean that we may have another great CW operator in our midst? Who knows? Make sure you listen out for this fine young man. His call is KR4FYM. Congratulations, Corey. Lots of people took advantage of some great buys that were available there. Also recognized was the Lake Cumberland Amateur Radio Club, who were present with a number of their club members to receive the Club of the Year award. This is a great club, most notably recognized on their YouTube channel that Chris and Brian produce, which features a number of fantastic YouTube videos. It was great seeing and talking to and meeting up with so many of the great hams there at the Claremont County Fairgrounds for the Cincinnati Hamfest. And of course then the usual annual lunch afterwards at the Frisch's Big Boy in Eastgate. Did you know that the Bluegrass Amateur Radio Society has a YouTube channel? Well, at least 123 others did, and that number of subscribers to their channel keeps increasing. They use the channel to introduce others to their club and to amateur radio in general. They're working on some new shows for you to check out in the future, like a whole how-to video on how to use the Nano VNA, how to build and use a slot antenna using an old dish satellite antenna, an annual bars picnic, and many more. So check out the Bluegrass Amateur Radio Society YouTube channel. Are you looking to study for your technician class license? Well, starting on Thursday, September 4th and running through October 16th for a total of 7 sessions, the Amateur Radio Club of the National Electronics Museum will be holding a free weekly live technician class licensing course over Zoom at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The 3-hour sessions will be recorded so you can go back and rewatch those areas of special interest. To sign up for this free technician class licensing course, email roll at roland@comcast.net. Amateur radio operators are needed for the September 6th for the Young's Charity Bike Ride. This relatively large event has a good number of participants and covers a large geographical area, so many hams are needed. Start and finish is at the Young's Dairy Bar north of Yellow Springs, Ohio. The event starts at 8 a.m. and usually is finished by 5 p.m. For more information or to volunteer, email Bob, N8ADO, at n8ado.bob@gmail.com. Volunteers are also needed to sign up before August 31st for the Air Force Marathon to be held on September 20th. If you're interested by signing up, please contact Bob, N8ADO, at n8ado.bob@gmail.com. The Monix Group will be meeting on August 16th at 6 p.m. at Donato's Pizza, 15 Donnemeyer Drive in Bellevue, Kentucky. Anyone interested in radio is invited to attend. This is a great group to learn all about monitoring all kinds of radio communications. The weekend of August 16th and 17th is the International Lighthouse Lightship Weekend, where amateur radio operators set up special event stations at these historic lighthouses and work as many contacts as they can. This was first established in Scotland in 1993 and has grown immensely in popularity. So look out for those lighthouses on the air. For more information on this event, go to illw.net. On August 18th, the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club will meet at 7 p.m. at the Bethesda Community Church, 989 East Mount Zion Road in Independence, Kentucky, where Michael, KE8PLM, will demonstrate testing spurious emissions of various personal radios. He will be using the current version of the Tiny SA Ultra and encourages everyone to bring their favorite HT to the meeting for testing. This should provide some neat information for the group on the amount of spurious emissions from different makes and models of radios. So if you're interested in how to use the Tiny SA Ultra and take these measurements or the standards of many radios, come on out to the meeting and check it out. Everyone is welcome. August 23rd is the Ohio QSO Party, starting at noon and running until midnight. The object of the event is for Ohio amateur radio operators to celebrate the great state of Ohio by activating an amateur radio operation in each of the 88 Ohio counties. Last year, all 88 counties were represented in the event. For more information, go to ohqp.org. September is National Preparedness Month, so prepare yourself. On August 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, into the ARRL live chat with ARRL Education and Learning Specialist Wayne Green, KB4DSF, who will cover how the Federal Emergency Management Agency, better known as FEMA, and other organizations encourage everyone to be prepared for emergencies and disasters of all sizes and things that you can do to become prepared. ARRL members can register for the event by going to tinyurl.com/3ZJA8FRX. On September 6th, the Okian Amateur Radio Society is looking for ham radio volunteers to man the booth at the Harvest Home Fair, one of the main Okian fundraisers. If you can help out, contact Rocky, K8DZS. On September 6th, the Okian Amateur Radio Society will once again set up at the Cincinnati Museum Center from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. for the 1940s Day. If you can volunteer to help out for this event, contact George, N3VQW. September 6th is the Ohio State Parks on the Air event, and the Okian Amateur Radio Society is planning on participating in this event. If you're interested in it, contact Chessie, KD80OB. The Bluegrass Amateur Radio Society will hold their annual family picnic on September 8th at the Shiloh Park, Shelter Number 2. A Parks on the Air meetup is planned for September 27th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time at the Paintsville Lake State Park, US 1270. It is time to get ready for the Simulated Emergency Test, known as SET, on October 4th and 5th, where ARES and emergency communications groups demonstrate their abilities to provide communications to the served agencies. Time now for your group to start planning their participation in the said event. For more information, go to www.arrl.org/simulated-emergency-test.
Repeater news.
Currently, the 6-meter repeater in Walton, Kentucky on 53.85 is experiencing a problem where it's not passing audio. KG4MVN is working on correcting this. Are you looking for the most up-to-date list of repeaters in the greater Cincinnati area? Well, I have an Excel spreadsheet where I've listed repeaters that are active in the area, separated by tabs for each band or mode, so you can easily look for just DMR repeaters or 2-meter analog repeaters and so on. The list includes 2 meters, 220, 440, 6 meters, D-Star, DMR, C4FM, P25, and some other classifications. Every time I update the file, I include the date and the file name so that you know you have the latest update. To download the file, go to the AB4WS Radio Show Facebook page and go to the file section and download the file. If you're not on Facebook, email me at ab4ws.radio@gmail.com and I can email you the latest file. If you see any errors, problems, additions, or corrections, email that information to ab4ws.radio@gmail.com.
Hamfest.
August 16th is the Portsmouth Radio Club 2025 Hamfest at the New Boston Village Community Center, 3980 Rhodes Avenue in New Boston, Ohio. On August 17th is the Warren Hamfest at the Trumbull County Fairgrounds, Commercial Building, 899 Everett Cortland Hall Road, Cortland, Ohio. For more information, go to w8vtd.com/hamfest. August 30th is the Athens Trunk Fest at the Athens Masonic Lodge, 12 West Carpenter Street in Athens, Ohio. On Saturday, September 6th is the Greater Louisville Hamfest 2025 at the Parquet Springs Conference Center, 395 Parquet Springs Drive in Shepherdsville, Kentucky. This year will be free admission for anyone under 16 years of age. Also, scouts and scout leaders in uniform can get free admission as well. Exciting forums on POTA, digital networking, and the ARRL. Major prizes include a Yaesu FT891 and an MFJ 1536 tri-band pulsar antenna, as well as many others. QLF contest is back again this year, and they'll be awarding the Kentucky Amateur of the Year Award. For more information or to purchase your ticket, go to LouisvilleHamfest.com. September 7th is the Findlay, Ohio Hamfest at the Hancock County Fairgrounds, 1017 East Sandusky Street in Findlay, Ohio. On September 13th, from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. is the Richmond, Kentucky Hamfest at the Madison County Fairgrounds, 3237 Old Irwin Road in Richmond, Kentucky. September 27th is the Paintsville, Kentucky Hamfest at the Paintsville Recreation Center. October 4th is the DX Workshop Operating Specialty Convention from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Central Time in the Warren County Public Library, Bob Kirby Branch, 175 Iron Skillet Court in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Talk in on the 444.300 repeater with a PL tone of 179.9. For more information, visit wkdxa.org/events. On November 8th, the Grant Amateur Radio Club will once again hold the famous Georgetown Hamfest at the ABCAP building, 406 West Plum Street in Georgetown, Ohio. Lots of door prizes will be given away. An amateur radio exam session will be held by the Highland Amateur Radio Association. Talking on the 146.73 repeater with a PL tone of 162.2. For more information, contact Ken, KD8FKU at KD8FKU@gmail.com.
Are you looking to upgrade your license? Do you have someone else that's interested in the hobby? Here are some upcoming exam opportunities.
The Milford Amateur Radio Club holds amateur radio testing on the third Thursday of each month at 6 p.m. at the Miami Township Civic Center, 6101 Meyer Drive in Milford, Ohio. Please pre-register at milfordhamradio.org. The Dayton Amateur Radio Association has exams frequently. For their exam schedule, email exams.w8bi@gmail.com. On August 16th at 10:30 a.m., the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at the Cuyahoga Falls Public Library, 2025 2nd Street in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. Pre-registered education at cfarc.org or call 330-929-8921. On August 17th at 9 a.m., the Warren Amateur Radio Association will hold an amateur radio testing session at the Trumbull County Fairgrounds, 899 Everett Hall Road in Cortland, Ohio. Walk-ins accepted. For more information, call AB8MO at 234-238-2312. On August 18th at 5:30 p.m., the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at the Bethesda Community Church, 989 East Mount Zion Road in Independence, Kentucky. You must register by going to hamstudy.org/session/NKY-VE. On September 10th, the Dial Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at 6 p.m. at 3806 Manchester Road in Middletown, Ohio. Please pre-register at hamstudy.org. On September 13th, the Westchester Amateur Radio Association will hold an amateur radio exam session at the Voice of America Museum, 8070 Tylersville Road in Westchester, Ohio. Please pre-register at hamstudy.org/sessions/WC8VOA. On September 15th at 5:30 p.m., the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at the Bethesda Community Church, 989 East Mount Zion Road in Independence, Kentucky. You must register by going to hamstudy.org/sessions/NKY-VE. On October 2nd, the Laughlin Valley Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at the Dearborn County Emergency Management Office, 401 West High Street in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Register at hamstudy.org/sessions. For more information, email Dan at ke9aks@lvarc.net. On October the 9th, the DeForest Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at 6 p.m. at the Adams County Emergency Management Office, 31 Logan's Lane in West Union, Ohio. Please pre-register by emailing k8weh@k8weh@awrl.net or on the k8ge.net website. On October 11th at 10 a.m., the Scott County Amateur Radio Club will host an amateur radio testing session at the Georgetown Police Department, Georgetown, Kentucky. On October 20th at 5:30 p.m., the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at the Bethesda Community Church, 989 East Mount Zion Road in Independence, Kentucky. You must register by going to hamstudy.org/sessions/NKY-VE. On October 25th at 10 a.m., the Wilderness Road Amateur Radio Club will host an amateur radio exam session at the American Legion, Post 46 in Danville, Kentucky. On October 28th at 6 p.m., the K4TG VE team will host an amateur radio exam session at the Anderson County Extension Building. Use the rear entrance in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. On November the 8th at 10 a.m., the Bluegrass Amateur Radio Society will host an amateur radio exam session at the Red Cross Building in Lexington, Kentucky. On December 11th, the DeForest Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at 6 p.m. at the Adams County Emergency Management Office, 31 Logan's Lane in West Union, Ohio. Please pre-register by emailing k8weh@k8weh@awrl.net or on the k8ge.net website. On December 13th, the Scott County Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio testing session at the Georgetown Police Department in Georgetown, Kentucky. Special thanks to this week's content contributors: WB8VNH, KY6MM, AC8MA, KY4GW, WB8YYS, KD8ZLD, K9HIO, N8LAR, K4NKU.
If you have something you think other amateur radio operators in the area would be interested in, send the information or your recorded audio file attached in an email to ab4ws.radio@gmail.com.
Covering your amateur radio news and information in the greater Cincinnati, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana tri-state area. This is Jack Prindle, AB4WS in Big Bone, Kentucky.